Hello, this is the second sort of talk in the series of whether our UK vocabulary should be expanded somewhat. Today I want to focus mostly on what seems an appalling coming about. What would you say instead of coming about? Development, maybe, an appalling development actually in the UK newspapers. They have formed the practice of referring to our government mostly without a capital letter. They've formed the practice of referring to our Prime Minister and various Prime Ministers, the role of Prime Minister, without capital letters. Now, many of us who have grown up in England and been taught properly in the initial stages of our education would have been aware that capital letters were needed for those type of roles. Now, what has been called to my attention is that many years ago now, Liz Truss wrote a book called Eats, Shoots and Leaves, detailing English grammar, which seemed to give the wrong ruling to people, and yes, does confirm what the newspapers are tending to do. Now, whether that's in fact because most of the German journalists now may be foreign, is something that does perhaps need some consideration. I don't think that we should be discriminative necessarily. If they are foreign, they may be accepting wages that many UK citizens would not have accepted for such a difficult job sometimes as that of being a journalist. I am aware that many psychiatrists nowadays in the UK are black people, and fortunately do even visit people at home, which is a very brave move to undertake if some people may have violent husbands and so on. And they are partly willing to do that for probably a lower wage than a UK born person would be willing to, perhaps. I'm not saying that all black people may not be UK born, but I have noticed that it has been indicated that where no one else would do the job, they are prepared to do the job. It may be that most middle class UK people, born and bred, have been written into the role of disablement, and may have found themselves unemployed. I have been made aware also that the Daily Telegraph newspaper is now owned by a group, it said, called TMG, and no one will properly explain what TMG stands for. Some people are making out that it's about something about tiny meat gets or something. Now it may be apparently that maybe foreigners, not only an Australian now, but other foreigners may actually be the owner of our newspapers. I don't think it's as simple as that they're making fun of us. But certainly, when government and Prime Minister do not have capital letters accorded to them, many of us would have been alarmed and threatened by that initially, and may have been routinely ignoring it. Now, maybe it's got to the point where we might not be able to routinely ignore it any longer, because all the government officers may have been sold off. They may be referring to government as a practice, as a kind of herding of people, rather than as a body of people looking after the stability and security of our country.